welcome back to the World Championship Series Valencia as we have our second last series to come. Yes, Probe from Australia, the young hopeful, goes up against the reigning, the defending, the undisputed champion of the World Championship Series here for Valencia. It's going to be good as we have a best of 5 to come. We've recruited the very best Protoss and the very best Australian to break this down for you. I don't know if those two categories stack up against one another, but we'll figure it out because you know Probe pretty darn well, I think.
The best Protoss.
He's all right. The best caster Protoss.
That's true. I guess I can't argue with that.
Undisputed as well, considering we just recently had a tournament.
Where do you stop?
I don't know.
In the camera left, we have.
But no, it's going to be a good match. PvP coming up, Todd, between Probe and our champion.
Yeah, Neeb, known for his PvP, is definitely, I think, going to be the huge favorite, rank 1 in the WCS Circuit standings as well. Probe, though, the fact that he comes from a region, you know, that doesn't get to play as much against some of these guys as he does, with being from Australia and the Southeast Asia region, definitely makes him a little bit more of a mystery, you know, like, as much as his style is not that much of a secret either, definitely, like, if he has been working on certain things, he's definitely going to be surprising Neeb, I think, with the way he's going to be playing. So that could be a factor, but Neeb's still the huge favorite, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's been moments, obviously, where Probe in the past might have been very isolated. You know this very well. Down in the corner of the world.
Down
but
under.
At least he has an opportunity to practice on Korean server, and that gives him a little bit more kind of strength behind him.
Absolutely. I mean, you get to practice the Korean server down in Australia. He's getting a chance to fly to more events.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he didn't make it to Jönköping. Of course, you know, he'd just been in Austin. Wasn't much time to qualify. He studies full time. He's like running leagues and like LANs like every other week back home in Australia as well, while studying full time and dominating our qualifiers recently. So Probe is this kind of guy who I feel like, you know, he's got a bit of a reputation of getting a bit upset on Twitter. Some of you guys who don't follow him might not know. You should go out there and follow, I think it's SC2_Probe or Probe SD2, because you get some amazing comments right after he loses matches in tournaments. He gets really down on himself and then destroys the rest of the bracket. But he's a player who I feel like has a bit more of a chilled kind of mood these days, doesn't just tilt after a loss. He's a little bit more relaxed. And I mean, we saw it through in the group stage. He was saying, you know what, it's weird. I just had a terrible flight getting here. It took me 2 days, but I feel like everything's in slow-mo. He did an interview with Wardy. He was saying everything was slowing down. My decisions were good. I don't know what it was, but I just felt great.
Well, it seems our two players are indeed ready. Smix, I would love Neeb to bring out a title belt, maybe. That would kind of garnish him very, very nicely. How about you?
What?
I think that would be absolutely amazing, but something tells me that he's not for that idea, but maybe later on in this event. But of course, we're continuing our streak of mirror matchups. We had a TVT, ZVZ, and now it is time for a PvP, where we have the back-to-back WCS champion going up against the Australian Protoss, fighting for his first quarterfinal at a premier event ever. Please welcome, it's Neeb and Probe.
Two of our remaining Protoss here going to battle things out to figure out who moves on into the round of 8. And it's a tall task for someone like Probe, obviously, going up against our 2-time champion that a lot of pundits are pegging to take a third.
Yeah, but it's not like it's the first series that he's going to play in this tournament. So far, it's perfect. He had a 2-0 against Harstem and then a 2-0 against True. I feel like Probe might be in a fantastic shape here. And what better time to go up against Neeb than when you're doing well?
Exactly. I mean, he's coming in here in high spirits. He's also just joined a new team, Legacy Esports, right before he came here. He's also going to be at Home Story Cup in just a week or so's time as well. So going to get to see a lot of this young man on our screens competing over the next little while.
Is he going home in between?
I don't think so. I assume not. And he actually only found out about it
which would mean
when he was on the way
there for 1 hour, right? And then fly right back to Germany.
Pretty much. Yeah, it takes about 6-7 days to get back to Australia. You know, you've got to sail usually. So.
Sail?
Yeah.
That'd be one way. It'd probably be faster than flying, considering the connections you have to take. But regardless, looking at how Neeb comes into these WCS tournaments, every single time in the round of 32, he does stumble a little bit, but when it gets to the bracket stage, oh boy, does he deliver. So are we expecting the same from him here?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting him to come in here very crisp, very tight. Something which we see Neeb doing a lot is really harassing very well with his warp prisms in PvP. In the past, we've seen him do the fancy maneuver, which I think he was the first one to do, where you shade the adepts on your opponent's sentries. they appear, one-shot the sentries, the Warp Prism comes in, picks them up, and off you go, you know. That was around the time when he won a tournament off the back of his PvP, of course, the Kesper Cup, and really just a player who comes out with that crisp PvP, loves his Blink Disruptor, doesn't play too much Sky Toss.
Really, not even like the Australian Aussie bias prediction of Probe doing super well here? Not even that?
I think Probe has a chance. I mean, he's got a 99.99% win rate versus the opponent's race, according to that statistics card. So
is that what it said?
Good job, Wax Angel.
Perfect. Yes. But on the other side, of course, you know, you've got someone like Probe, as you mentioned, Todd. He's come in and he's looked in good spirit and he's looked in good form. So in PvP, as much as Neeb has been known for that, he won Kesper Cup off the back of that. What do you give in terms of chances for Probe?
Not that high, sadly. I feel like Neeb would have to be having a very bad day for Probe to have a really good chance there. Even though I think that Probe's a pretty good player, but the thing is, he's facing the two-time champ that's just looked unbeatable almost in these WCS tournaments here. Like, sure, he's bled here and there. He's lost one series or two when it didn't really matter. But other than that, as you said yourself, when the round of 16 hits, usually there is no more mistakes, and that's where we're at right now.
Let's see if he's on fire here going into the round of 16. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as we now get into Probe versus Neeb to see who moves on to the round of 8.
Welcome to the PvP match of the century, Calaris would have you believe. A wrestling match between the American that is Neeb and the Australian that is Probe. This, Rotterdam, is surely going to be a good match, I hope.
I hope so as well. I hope we're going to see a couple of disruptors. I hope we're going to see some close games. Maybe some Phoenix play always gets me going. It's been a long day, Jeff. I need something to keep me awake, and Phoenixes often do it for me in the late evenings.
Absolutely. When I need a little pick-me-up, what I do is I just build a couple of Phoenix and I can just soar away on their angelic wings. But in the lower left-hand side, introducing our first player, this best of 5, it's your two-time WCS champion in Neeb.
I like the intro of Calaris, but it could have been a little more... I'd say that. More energy, more screaming. Like, I've seen Dana White get almost pink, and I think that Calaris can do this as well.
You just set my brain into so many different places. I like it. In the top right-hand side, hailing from the place where dinosaurs still walk, spiders try to kill you, and there's drop bears. It's Probe!
And what a run this young man is having so far. You know, for us, this is just another exciting, fun best-of-5 series, but for him, this is obviously an incredibly big moment. I don't think he expected to make it out of that group. I looked at that group, and I thought for my Dutch brothers, Optimus and Harstem, that's a very doable group, maybe even for both of them. With True in it as well. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. Probe won that group over Harstem, over Optimus, and over True as well. So, incredibly impressive. I have nothing else to say. Would never take anything away from it. And now I just wonder, how well will he go up against, you know, the back-to-back champ that is Neeb, and that is obviously very well known for his PvP.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's his wheelhouse matchup, too. So it's not even something that maybe he's been shaky in his PvZ for a little while, I guess, or anything like that. No, this is PvP where Neeb pretty much made his name known. But that being said, this is the first time we've seen Probe on this stage. And he said it himself, things are slowing down, he's making decisions. He might have broken the code and be in the Matrix a little bit.
Funny opening over here by Neeb. We see a Stalker and a Sentry as our observer is trying to desperately show it. He's like, guys, there's a Sentry. I want you to talk about it. We will. That's obviously, a defensive opening. I'm expecting the Nexus to go down any moment now for Neeb. Actually surprised that there hasn't been a Nexus yet. It's very defensive, right? Even a Mothership Core before they expand as well. Sequencer is a map where sometimes you do see players go a little crazy with some pre-gateway aggression. And maybe Neeb didn't want to end up risking, trying to go for an early Nexus and then having to cancel it or just lose it straight up.
I like the early Sentry here. I think it's kind of a, I don't want to go, well, you know what, Kevin? I'm going to go deep on it. I'm going to tell you. If you think you're the better player in a PvP, and especially if you do believe you're facing what this matchup has kind of become like 4 Stalkers or maybe some Adepts, something like that, you can afford that Sentry early on. It's a little bit of a risk, but it gives you that earlier hallucination, and then you can scout out at a pretty critical time exactly what they're doing. Both players should have expanded at that time, and then it's like, oh, you are falling to the Stargate, or you're adding 5 gateways and just going for a blink all-in. I like this kind of safe play from Neeb.
Yep, it's definitely going to give him a much quicker scout than you normally can. Obviously, some people might think like, oh, it's not that hard to scout in PvP anyway, right? Like, well, earlier it is. Later on, if you have observers, if you maybe have a warp prism or multiple sentries, then obviously it's pretty easy to keep track on your opponent. At least for guys this level, you know, we're busy executing our build order. But these guys, they can actually do that and scout at the same time.
I'm just heavy breathing watching this right now. It's just so much work going into this.
But,
and here is that early scout.
Yeah, but this is actually a phase in the game where normally you don't get any eyes on your opponent. You're not sure if he's actually building probes or extra gateways. And this Oracle is obviously going to scare Probe for a little bit as well. He's like, an Oracle! But it's a fake Oracle.
It's a fake one. He doesn't know it just yet. There's no observer there. But kind of the flight path seems a bit weird.
Took a lot of damage there as well from 4 Stalkers.
He probably knows. It's going to show up. I doubt this tricks him. But it is going to get a nice little scout here and sees things like that Twilight Council, the Robo. So normal stuff, which is good. For Neeb, he says, oh, you want to play a straight-up PvP with me? Okay, I mean, I don't want to overhype this too much for you guys, but Neeb is, like, fearsome in this matchup. There's Koreans who literally picked up on his play last year and adapted it as their own. That's how good he is.
Super fast robotics Beto by Probe. That is something that has fallen out of fashion a tiny bit.
Drop Disruptor, maybe?
Yeah, why not? Maybe some Speed Prism Disruptor play indeed. I mean, the sentries are very popular, especially on a map like Sequencer. There are multiple builds, Sentry Immortal with a bunch of Blink Stalkers, or there's a couple of Sentries, a Prism, and a whole bunch of Blink Stalkers. Neeb is going to scout again, and with this hallucinated Phoenix, it's very important that he picks up on that incredibly quick Robo Bay.
Yeah.
Because that is, I mean, a while ago, it wouldn't have been that weird, but in the current meta, that's a little bit off, and might actually trigger Neeb to be a little more aggressive.
And he is going to get, oh, maybe not. Okay,
Maybe
it totally
he will.
does. I knew that was going to happen.
Oh.
So eager to deny it, he actually uses the Photon Overcharge. And I'll tell you what, Neeb's senses are tingling. Did you see what I did there, Kevin?
Yes, the Observer did as well. This must be Funka.
Thank you. Cheeky Funky, he's so smart. Coca wouldn't have recognized that.
No, not at all. Coca would have wrote a question mark. We're like, Coca, come on.
I don't understand.
Oh, no, it's Coca.
Oh, wow.
Well, Coca's really stepped up.
As we were saying, Coca would totally pick up on it. He's a super smart guy.
You are a product of your own environment, and he's been spending a lot of time with Funka, so it's great to see that.
He's probably absorbed some of the brain power. So what do you do with that, though? He did see the Robo in the Twilight Council. It's not likely that it's like double Stargate or something crazy behind it. The other good thing that's going for Neeb is he was already going Blink, so the nice thing about the Blink tech upgrade is, I think something's going on, but I have observers, I have Blink. What you can do that can really scare me is not much, but, you know, he's definitely interested in what's happening here.
It is indeed always risky to go out with a Prism, even if it is a Speed Prism. As long as there's Blink Stalkers out on the map, one mistake, you can end up losing that Prism, lose the Disruptor, and that can really turn the game upside down. Warp Prism Speed did finish up, right? We're not crazy.
I believe so.
He didn't cancel that or something? Nope. Does he have a Prism?
Coke is super on top of it. Of
yeah,
course
he does.
Yeah, it's out here.
Already killed 4 sentries. We missed it, but...
Did it really?
Just kidding.
Oh, jeez.
Let's see. Take a did any units die so far?
I'm the guy that once didn't see like 13
sentries.
Swarm hosts die at the last WCS. So you say stuff like that, and I'm like, not again, Kevin. Not again.
2 sentries with that first Disruptor Shell, but obviously from this point on, Probe has to be very, very cautious with that Prism. He knows it as well.
And the sentries aren't that big of a deal. At this point, they're really... Like, they're okay, don't get me wrong, but they're scouting, you know, so it's Sequencer. They're both going to the third base. A bit of a passive opening, you'll notice. That's because we didn't really talk about this, but in terms of map analysis, this is one of the biggest maps, the most expansions, a pseudo-harass opening with that Speed Warp Prism, but there's actually not a lot of negative space on this map. Like, even there, Stalkers could technically reach it, so as Kevin was saying, you have to be very careful with it because there's not a lot of places to escape to.
Probe is getting his own Forge now as well. Obviously, getting more Disruptors is always good, while Neeb is just adding more and more gateways. Still no Robo Bay for Neeb, I believe, which is... This is weird, because normally Neeb is not afraid to go into a Disruptor war, but maybe he's like, well, you know, I'm going to be behind. Let's see what this Disruptor can connect to. 6 probes, but that obviously also means... At the cost of the Prism and the Disruptor, and I think from this point on, Neeb is like, all right, let's run across the map. And let's party. Probe is moving out. Oh, this is going to be painful.
And he does cancel. He's like, okay, Naked Mineral Line, I'm here all day. Now he sees another Robo coming in. He knows about the Disruptors, so Neeb has to know what he's facing. And to be honest, That's making me a bit concerned, Rotterdam, because if you look at that production tab, it's still just gateway units.
Yeah, and a
Immortal.
Fourth Nexus now.
Well, that, okay, in charge.
Stargates.
That doesn't bother me as much. There's the Stargate, so this is where it starts to make sense. And Phoenix can come out pretty quick. So as an answer to the disruptors, we're going to have a bit of a pause here as we figure that out in a second. But Phoenix, you don't need like 25 of them to be an answer, but 5, 6, you can pick them up. Because the way the disruptor works is if they launch off their purifying bomb thing and you pick them up, it actually cancels it immediately, and they don't get reset. It's a full-on cooldown, so that can be a bit of an issue. But I guess we shouldn't talk too much about detail here because they do have their headphones off.
Exactly. This is the second last best of 5 of the day. After this, we've got one more coming up. It's going to be a fun one as well. We've got Zenster, the Swedish Zerg. One last Zerg coming in action today, going up against Special, also known as Major, here in the round of 16. Of course, a lot of people are looking at Special as well to have a very deep run. But needless to say, the winner of that series is going to go up against the winner of this series. And a lot of people are expecting that to be Neeb. So that could be a potential rematch as well. But for now, we're going to focus on the PvP. A lot of fun series so far today, Jeff. Any highlights for you?
Trying to think.
We got a bunch of Zergs. We have got 4 Zergs in the upper side of the bracket.
This was a bunch of just taking care of business, really. Like, no upsets. We had... I kind of liked it. It's a weird thing to point out, but... Petit Drogo was very upset with his loss, but then handled it, I thought, pretty well. Like, he was very emotional afterwards, but then he immediately tweeted out and said, hey, True deserves that win. I should have handled it better. I'm sorry. For me, it's kind of cool because I know these guys, and I see, we both see them from tournament to tournament. So to see personal growth and to see them kind of doing battle on this stage, because one of the big things that, again, I think doesn't get talked about that much is how much pressure is on these guys and how important these tournaments are. There's only 4 WCS stops, and then there's like a couple other ways to get WCS points, but for the most part, that's it. And it defines your year, it defines, and for a lot of these guys, their career. So I kind of like seeing how that goes for them.
Yeah, it's much more than just rolling out of your bed and playing a couple of games of StarCraft 2. Not only do they live forward to a weekend like this for quite some time, you arrive 2-3 days in advance, you get adjusted to the weather over here, you show up early at the event for 5-6 hours, you do your warm-up games. It is much more than what we just see. We only see them for like an hour and a half, but they've been living forward to that moment. So I'm the same way, Jeff. I don't feel like offended about it at all, especially since he handled it with class. Like if you go on a huge tantrum afterwards on Twitter, then you're gonna be like, all right, now you need to tone it down a notch. But he just said like, no, heat of the moment, completely okay with me. I thought it was it was a fun series. Also, of course, very big win for True there.
Yeah.
And other than that, we had Kalazur once again making it into the quarters.
That was a cool series. That was probably the coolest one for me so far. I like it too because all these guys, and we're getting back into the game here, guys, but they're young men and women, Scarlet, and it's cool to see their personal growth and their journey through this stressful, kind of really competitive world. So it's been a lot of fun that way. But we are back in the game. And we've got a bit of a movement coming out here from Probe.
And the timing seems pretty sweet. Probe is going to send a hallucinated Phoenix into the main. I'd love to see if you can get an idea of these Stargates. Because if that Phoenix on the left side of Probe, let's take a look at the main rook. No,
it's going to go die.
He sees the army, but he needs to see the Stargates.
Well, it doesn't know.
Scotty doesn't know either.
Scotty doesn't know. And I wonder, I was just going to say, is Probe just kind of sharking around out here, pushing, sees the army, does not see disruptors and still backs up? That kind of gives me pause. I feel like that's attack time.
Jeff, I 100% agree. This is one hell of a moment for Probe to really go pedal to the metal. Let's go. You've got disruptors. Your opponent doesn't only not have disruptors, he has no answer to the disruptors. Phoenixes were not out yet. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if we're going to wait a little bit longer, Probe is going to scout that fourth Nexus on the right bottom side. But if he moves out now, there's going to be 4 or 5 Phoenixes, and the amount of Zealots on the ground are really going to mess with this army of Probe.
And he's still adding more disruptors, because that's the other thing, too, is if you scout those Stargates, you stop making disruptors, and you start coming up with, like, Templar for feedback, and Archons or more Stalkers.
And Probe doesn't have, like, Adepts with Resonating Glaives in the army or something. Yeah. These Zealots are going to mess him up. Zealots are going to be incredibly effective against every single unit that Probe currently has. He doesn't even have great, like if you have +3 Stalkers, it can sort of be all right, but right now he really would need something to deal with these Zealots.
Agreed. I feel the thing that's going against that though, like that lack of scout, was a big deal, but like I said, Phoenix built very quickly, so it's already at like 6 or 7 or 8 or something like that right now. And had he gone forward, there would have been about 4 or so against just the 3 disruptors. So he would have been able to cancel out the disruptors. It would have been pretty bad, but it's of course really bad because he doesn't know what he needs to be countering right now. And this is actually the really incredible thing. With that fleet beacon going down and presumably more Stargates soon. Oh, that's a bit of a wandery fight. That Archon kind of scouting forward there. Oh, he's going to go for it, actually. He's pushing forward here. It is just a stalker, so he's going to back up. He did see the Phoenix, I think, so he has an idea of an answer. I do like this, though. The Warp Prism on the left side.
It's almost a shame that Probe is maxed out because he can't warp in any more Zealots right now in the main. He's going to lose a couple of Stalkers. Maybe that was actually on purpose.
Might have wanted to,
So he can go for a bigger warp in into the main. He's going to be able to get the Fleet Beacon, maybe on power these Stargates as well. That's always nice. He's going to warp in a couple of extra units there. And this is kind of rough for Neeb because Neeb wants to transition.
Neeb's maxed out.
Into carries. That's a lot of disruptive shots.
He just picks up all of them. Most of the shots are canceled. Actually, 4 do connect in a big way. And Neeb's army's a lot smaller, actually. All of a sudden, he picks up the disruptors again, but that seems to be fairly pointless. Meanwhile, inside his main base, he is taking a lot of damage. Zealots are going to get warped in to try to answer for this. They're coming in at a bit of a weird angle, but Neeb is going to have to back up. He's not able to reinforce. Kevin, this is really bad.
Yep, forward blink now as well. A couple of these Immortals are going to... No, you don't kill your own Stalkers. That was very close.
Oh, boy.
Now he actually gives a little bit of breathing room to this army of Neeb, but he's still doing a tremendous amount of damage in the main base as well. And the Australian Protoss Probe is on fire here in game number 1.
Disruptor shots do whiff on that. The Immortals will get cleaned up. The Stalkers can back away, as can the Phoenix. One of the Stargates and that Fleet Beacon did die. The Zealot Harass, I do have to say, is usually looking for more than just killing a building or two. It wants to get on top of probes and really disrupt the economy. But Neeb actually had photon cannons on the mineral line, but behind in supply, way up in workers, but way behind in army. This is going to be very scary for Neeb.
I feel that could have been even worse for Neeb. I think that Probe should have just kept chasing the army. I almost felt that Probe scared himself with those disruptive shots. And he's like, maybe. But that army of Neeb really wasn't all that big anymore. Now it's going to be a little bit bigger. There is a mothership. Is there an observer with this army of Probe? I don't That's a lot of disruptors, but there's no observer.
Oh, he loses. Wow. So he's gonna, and he just keeps lobbing 4 at a time. That's also something you want to kind of avoid. But no observer. He does see the mothership, so it's going to give him the chance to say, okay, I'm going to back away. Losing the Warp Prism as well kind of depowers this attack. And I have to say something here, Rotterdam. Like, Probe's been pretty far ahead a couple times at different phases of this game and just kind of backs up a little bit. Something you were touching on. Maybe a little bit too much respect for Neeb. Also, you know, we have a bird's eye view, so to be fair, we're seeing his situation. He's not.
The disruptor count is incredibly high. He's got 14. Like, I mean, the Phoenixes are good. He's so trigger happy, by the way. Multiple times.
That was 6 disruptor shots.
Yep. I mean, but I guess if you have 14, it's okay.
Go for it. Pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's a little. It's okay to be a little trigger happy.
Why not?
A lot of these disruptors, it's so hard to see which one can shoot or not, but that's still a very impressive army.
That's all of them.
The observer shows up as well.
Oh my God, he gets a center shot that the Phoenix are off by themselves. They get picked off for the most part. More disruptor shots hitting against Neeb's army. He's not dodging this. He has no army. The Phoenix pick up, but there's nothing to support it. Neeb's gonna have to recall back to a besieged 4th base, and a 40 supply advantage for Mr. Probe out of Down Under.
Yeah, Neeb,
a big one here.
Neeb needs a much more powerful army on the ground, or maybe in the sky, actually, against all these disruptors. Why not get a couple of carriers? I guess he just didn't have the money for it. Good forward blink there by Probe. Probe is looking fantastic here in this first game.
He's got this one in a big way. Now DT show up before the cannons are, and I'll tell you what, Neeb is going to have to... Okay, observers, by the way. I guess there is an advantage to having double robo, because now there's 4 of them. But there's just nothing for him to worry about. 25 probes have gone down. 62... I mean, actually... Neeb had workers to spare, but there's just no army here. Oh, so many disruptor shots going through, but just the one Phoenix. And now he can't pick him up. So that cooldown, by the way, that's happening is like a trigger for, I'm going to destroy your army. Never mind, there's a lot of Phoenix there. I don't know why I just said that.
It's going to be an Oracle as well. Yeah, but the disruptor count is still incredibly high. +2 has finished up for Probe. I think he could just go for a forward blink here and finish it. I mean, he has
sniped the mothership.
The only thing he's missing is maybe a Warp Prism with slightly quicker reinforcements. He's getting a Fleet Beacon. Not going to say it's bad. And a Stargate number 3, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's great. Tempest or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, keep the pressure on, right? If you're up 60 supply, don't let your opponent come back into this game. You've got all these disruptors. Let's use them. Let's shoot some Novas forward once again.
Oh my God.
Connecting with all the Archons.
And that's going to be it. There's that forward blink. He's going to get on top of that mothership. GG is called out, and Neeb is he's a little bit taken aback right here. Kind of talking to himself. Probe, on the other hand, is excited. What a great game to start off this series.
What a surprising performance there as well already. Obviously, Probe is playing well this weekend. Making it this far into the tournament is a huge stepping stone for this young player from Australia. A lot of people refer to him as Snoot's brother because they really kind of look alike. You know, they've been trolling the internet a little bit as well, taking pictures with each other and, you know, face swapping and stuff. It's fun, but he's playing good.
Yeah.
What if we get a Probe versus Snoot semi-final?
Oh my God.
I don't think the internet could handle it.
No.
Kim Kardashian would tune in as well.
Usually when identical twins clash like that, one absorbs the other in the womb, Kevin. So it'd be kind of weird to see it happen out here.
I don't want to think about that, Jeff. I just want to think about StarCraft.
Well, can't get too far ahead of ourselves. This is Neeb. He did trip up earlier. Mr. Dario pushing him to the limit in their series as well. And let's not forget that he also lost to the previously mentioned Snoot in that group stage as well.
Yeah, normally Probe taking game number 1, it wouldn't face me or Neeb, I guess, that much if it was with some sort of 3-gate aggression or just a crazy all-in of like 32, 35 probes. But that was a pretty legit game. And the funniest thing about that game for me is that Probe opened up with this Speed War Prism Disruptor drop that I truly felt didn't even achieve all that much. What did he get? 2 Sentries, then 6 probes, lost the Prism, lost the Disruptor. But for some reason, Neeb is like, well, I'm behind in Disruptor, so I don't want to do the same thing as you, because you're always going to have more than me. I'll just play this different style. But it just didn't work out for Neeb at all.
It's interesting. I feel like because Neeb is in this position where all eyes are on him, and a lot of times when he plays a game, everyone's like, all right, what are you thinking? What are you doing? I almost wonder if the kind of sub-story that's going on is that he changes up his own play to try and break up the narrative, because he kind of broke the PvP conventions that he himself kind of established in that game, where it's like, all right, this guy's got 5 disruptors, he scouts him, he sees 0 disruptors, and Neeb's the guy with the 0 disruptors who's very good with those. He ends up going for Phoenix, which a couple of missed pickups by him, and that was it. He was like way behind.
Alrighty, over here on the right bottom side of Abyssal Reef, we're looking at the main base of the back-to-back WCS champion. It is Neeb.
Showing a lot of emotion, talking to himself, a little bit rattled, not used to trailing 0-1. To this guy in the top left-hand side, Snoot's twin brother coming from Australia. It is Probe. And for our casual fans, not really his twin brother. They just look kind of similar. Both are dashing, handsome, and put a lot of work into StarCraft 2, and it's paying off.
One of them Protoss, the other one is Zerg. One day we'll make a movie about it.
It pays off a lot more for one of the two. But
there's always the smarter one out there, right?
There is. Snoot showing the wisdom. Standard opening for both players so far, though, just the double gate. I do like the wall in from Neeb. He'll alternate with that, I believe. He does it. I mean, actually, just look as far as last game. He did not wall in. This game he does. I think I would love to hear a more in-depth answer from him, but my assumption would be he, too, likes to kind of change that up. It's not necessarily like a one or the other. It's more of a just, I'll do it here sometimes.
Abyssal is a smaller map, and I think we'll see the double adept opening a little more frequently on Abyssal than we'll see it on Sequencer, because in Sequencer you technically need another shade to go as far as you basically want to be as or on Abyssal. So perhaps that's one of the reasons why. We'll see how Neeb decides to open. It's going to be 1 adept, 2 adept. So Neeb is going to be the double adept player. Probe is going to scout this interesting main base of Neeb. But he's just going to open up with 2 sockets. Well, temporarily going to lock this Probe in. I'm not sure if that's worth it. That seems so odd to me. Well, maybe the
is that Neeb that did that?
Yeah, Neeb.
Yeah, I mean, killing the scout's pretty cool. I like it.
Well, he needs to do it real fast. Okay, he will. And now cancel the pylon. All right.
Yeah, I like it.
That's cute.
25 minerals to kill a scouting probe, and the scouting probe can a lot of times lead to a proxy of some sort. Not even like a timing attack proxy, but like okay, later I'll have a gateway and a pylon over there to reinforce.
I'd like to see Neeb keep his adepts a little bit more together, and that's exactly what you saw there after the first shade. Adepts it's very important that they're walking right next to each other. If you send them too far apart, then it's much more likely that one is going to get picked off. And obviously adepts, the real power of the adepts is that they can one-shot a worker, or maybe like 2 adepts can fight 1 stalker, but 1 adept cannot. So Neeb's going to let this shade probably not finish up. He just wants to see if there's a Nexus down already or not.
But even not seeing the Nexus already is a little bit interesting. It doesn't tell him, I don't think, that he's getting all in, but it's typically going to be like the 4 Stalker opening, which is exactly what he is facing. And with it, 2 Adepts, it just kind of keeps them out there as a little bit of a guillotine. Like, okay, well, if you get too aggressive, I'm going to throw these in your mineral line and start taxing things like your photon overcharges, if not killing outright probes. But he's actually going to pull it back, as I was just kind of giving that analysis. Sit at the top of the ramp. We have a Twilight Council first from Probe, and it's going to be versus that Robo from Neeb. The very safe play.
Yep.
He does favor the Robo in PvP a lot of times.
Neeb going for the slightly safer opening. There's still a good chance we're going to see a Robo from Probe as well. But maybe Probe is going to think outside of the box. Maybe he's going to go for some sort of a proxy. Maybe a Dark Shrine opening? Is that...
cheeky, cheeky. If it is Dark Shrine, it's going to be a little bit mistimed. Could be, though.
Look at that Twilight Council. It's still like 10, 15 seconds off.
It's mistimed, Kevin. Gimme, come on.
Yeah?
Come on.
By how many seconds?
Come on.
Okay, at least 4 seconds. We'll see. Maybe it's just a blink. Maybe it's just going to make a gauge with that. But I think it's the Dark Shrine.
I think you're right.
Nice.
Shapoopy. You are correct. Win ahead, Dark Shrine.
Win up 1-0 in the series, Dark Shrine.
Win Protoss, just Dark Shrine, basically.
Win Haas, you're born on it.
Now, this will be interesting because Neeb has shown, I mean, this is just standard in PvP play, but lots of hallucinations. And if you show up and you see an upgrading Twilight Council, do you think proxy Dark Shrine out on the map? Not necessarily. And another thing that players do at this level as well is they kind of skimp on the observers. You do see an observer coming out here. It probably doesn't go to Probe's base, by the way. It'll be like the natural. But if you can get in with a Warp Prism or something like that, or maybe even just walk around a DT, that can do a lot of damage really quick.
I would send it to the other side of the map, but that's why I'm sitting here, and Neeb is probably sitting in the booth having 2 WCS
They don't usually do it. They don't usually. Careful, mate.
Let's keep it there, you're right. That's not too far. A couple of Adepts do go forward here with the
going,
Warp
though,
Prism.
Kevin. I
This
think
is
you're right.
This
Oh,
is
no,
something
it's
that Pig mentioned. Neeb did this indeed at BlizzCon. I think the first one who did it was Showtime, though. Showtime against Deer on Kingside Young, shaded in, got a couple of sentries, picked them all
Showtime,
up.
I remember him. He's that German Protoss, I think,
Jeff.
right?
No, Jeff, too soon. Too soon for my Protoss heart.
All right, well, here come those DTs, and it's going to be through the Warp Prism. It's going to be tough to avoid. And in the meantime, by the way, this damage that you were pointing out is really good. Look at the mineral line, or lack thereof.
But where is that observer from Neeb? Where?
It's out in front.
Where? Can we take a look at the observer of Neeb real quick?
He just showed it.
I don't see it. Oh, it's in the natural. But then there's still the Warp Prism. So maybe this one Dark Templar can do a little bit of damage. I think Neeb is kind of picking up on it. He's like, maybe something is not right. But it's one DT. Okay, there's a second observer on the way, so Overcharge is going to take care of this.
The timing on that's sick, by the way. The one in the natural just got butchered.
That's ridiculous.
That's what my DTs look like on the North American ladder. Finally, the game that starts to make a little bit of sense. Like, and does he have Blink?
Yep.
Yes, he does. That's even a dead Warp Prism. Yep, for sure. Okay. So that's bad, by the way, as M. Canning would point out for us here. Probe he tried an opening, it didn't work. He's not dead. He's not, his fingers aren't hovering over the GG, but it's not good.
No, Neeb's army is just a little bit better. Neeb has a Forge as well. Neeb is already getting +1. He's got those 2 observers as well. The one thing there is, though, is that Probe is always going to have access to Dark Templars.
Yeah.
And having 1 observer is often nice, but it's always annoying. When you know your opponent has a Dark Shrine,
you build cannons. You have to, each mineral line.
Yeah, but you don't want to build cannons if you're on 2 bases, so you kind of wait until you're on 3.
Yeah.
So at least it's going to keep Neeb most likely a little bit passive and on his side of the map. But I think you're right, Jeff. Neeb is obviously very pleased with how this game went so far. He killed more probes than he lost. He got 2 Dark Templars, he got a Warp Prism, and he's going up to 3 bases faster than his opponent. So things looking a lot better here in game number 2 for Neeb.
Coco would like us to point out that the Adept drop that was featured by Neeb did more damage than the Dark Templar.
Coco is a great observer.
He is the silent 3rd observer, much in the tradition of the mime, which is very French, by the way.
Who?
The mime.
What's that?
The people that have white gloves. And
and they pretend they're behind a mirror.
Oh, I'm in a box. That's Coco. That good? It's funny how that works out.
I just pictured it.
Yeah.
Like, it works.
The Adepts killed more damage than the Dark Templar. It's adorable.
All right, Jeff.
But he has that Warp Prism hanging up above the base as well for like a charge lot warp in, which we do have that charge lot. And there's the Dark Shrine. Kevin, come on. Pull it together.
All right. So now we're going to have a Dark Shrine for Neeb as well, like you just mentioned. Neeb is just going to sit back. He's going to be on 4 bases. This, once again, has a little bit to do with... this Warp Prism might finally go down, but not before. These 2 Adepts are going to get...
That's a pretty big deal, though.
5 more kills?
Oh, I didn't see that they got 5 kills. Yeah. Was that all from that?
Yep. Those two adapts just got 6.
Well, that's okay then. But his Dark Shrine just finished and charge, and there's another Warp Prism. Okay. If it weren't for the fact that there's... Oh, wow.
That is a lot of DTs, by the way.
You're getting DT dropped.
Where are the observers of Probe? Does Probe have any? Probe has 1, and it's kind of out of position. So Neeb is like, hey, you tried this DT drop? Let me show you what a DT drop looks like. The overcharge is not going to save the day if you don't have any detection in place.
You know what, though? It aggroes the DTs, and Neeb focus fired the probes anyways immediately. That's actually a subtle thing, but very nice.
He's going to unpower the Robo.
1 of 2.
Yeah. And he's
a lot of damage, though. This is really good. 15 probes have gone down, by the way.
That's
a lot.
Yep, and very quickly as well. The only thing I'd like to see of Neeb, though, is like, why wouldn't Neeb get his own disruptors now? Like,
yeah, I think he's doing this weird, cheeky thing where he's just trying to avoid them to kind of show that he's maybe to bust it out later because disruptors are predictable for him or something weird like that.
Or he's loving the Phoenix transition.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're not hating on the Phoenix transition. It makes a lot of sense. You can lift up the disruptors.
His disruptors are just so safe.
Yeah.
It's like it's never a bad thing for him to do it.
Exactly. Normally, you expect Neeb's opponent to try to outmaneuver him with some sort of Stargate play because nobody wants to do disruptor wars with Neeb. But Neeb probably a lot of confidence in this playstyle. Now, this is a very different scenario than we had on Sequencer because this time the early game just went much, much better for Neeb than it did on that map. So it makes...
That being said, though, I mean, this is I agree with you. It's an infinitely better spot for Neeb. But Probe is on 4 bases. Yes, he's down in Workers. Yes, he's down in Army. But he has those disruptors. So there's like a... There's strangely still a way for Probe to win this game where after everything we've seen has been all in favor of Neeb.
Yep, and I think that if we would have been watching a game where both players were doing the exact same thing, we'd be like, all right, it's going to be very hard. You know, this one is pretty much over unless one disruptor kills all the disruptors of Neeb. No, we do have that feeling that there is still a chance. Obviously, Archons defensively could be very useful for Probe as well. I don't know if Probe has any Archons.
Nope. Well, I mean, no. Here comes Neeb, though, by the way.
Who does have Archons?
He's got Archons. He's got an Army, and he's got Phoenix. Big warp in there. Oh, boy. Probe is just now realizing this attack's happening. He's moving over there to the Army. That is most of the Army. He's got Stalkers on the map. They're actually looking to counterattack. It's not a bad call considering how far behind he is. He's got to do something crazy. The problem is there's a Dark Shrine, so I feel like there's always the ability just to be like, hey, do you got observers? No? Okay, well, here's a bunch of Dark Templar.
Needs to overcharge. He's going to pop a Guardian Shield instead. He's going to be able to do quite a bit of damage with his Stalkers on the other side of the map. Neeb is going to go all the way home. One of the Zealots did pick up one Disruptor, so that's nice. These Stalkers are super trapped, by the way. And don't forget, there are Phoenixes out on the map as well, so all these Stalkers, I think, are going to die.
Dark Templar show up at the 4th base, but get nothing there as well. And there are the Dark Templar with no observers in. Probe loses the 4th base. He's going to lose his Army here. He knows he can't go back because the Army is coming back. Well, it's not, actually. It's going to go for the kill move. Getting up here.
All right, let's see if the Disruptors can get the hit they're looking for. Phoenixes are going to pay attention to this. Going to be able to lift up all these Disruptors almost immediately. And it seems like Probe's Army is just not big enough.
No, it's just melting away. The counterattack didn't work, and Neeb equals the score. 1-1 here in this best of 5. We'll say, I feel like Neeb has that extra special gear that we see from like Korean players. Remember in the years pack where like some of our guys would go up 1-0 in a best of 3 and like MC would take off his leather jacket.
MMA's jacket.
Yes. He would like turn his hair to the other direction and be like, all right, you son of a gun. It's time to hit the nitrous. And I feel like that's what Neeb does. Like this game was what he wanted in game number 1, but so much more crisp, so much more sharp, and everything looked to be as it should be.
And I cannot emphasize enough on what you said as well when it comes to the timing of that second observer. Neeb didn't see everything yet, but to us it definitely looked like he pieced it all together.
Yeah.
And he makes it look so easy, right? One Dark Templar is going to run into the natural while he's got an observer in place. DT drop in the main. So many Protoss players are going to fall apart there. They're going to scramble. They're going to lose 12, 14, 16 workers. Neeb is like, observer.
I know.
I lost one probe, I believe. You know, that's about it. And he makes it look easy. Well, that is not easy, guys. It's so hard.
The like circus music plays as your observer leaves the natural, goes to the main. Then the DT shows up at your natural, and it turns around and goes back to the natural. And your Robo's like prairie dogging between a disruptor and an observer. It's like, which one is it going to be? Which one? Yeah. It wasn't any of that. Neeb had a really, really good defense there. Credit to Probe, though. This is actually really nice to see. It's, you know, he had everything go wrong and still had his chances. I actually like, in a lot of ways, the decision to counterattack with the Stalkers. As we saw, it didn't pan out at all, but what Kevin was talking about, sometimes that kind of move can throw someone off. It catches a warp prism, it catches, you know, transferring disruptors or whatever, and then you get into a natural and they forget they have a dark shrine. Like, these are actually things that happen on such a big stage.
Yep. Game number 3 is going to be played on the beautiful map of Odyssey. We're looking at the main base of the American Protoss. He's your back-to-back champion. It is Neeb.
And his opponent, let's see if he can strike back for Queen and Country. It is Probe. Do the Australians fight for Queen and Country?
I have no
They
idea.
are a colony, I do believe.
I don't know.
We'll have to ask Pig. Does Pig look like he has a queen, though, do you think?
I've
Does he
got
strike
nothing.
you as a guy that...
I've got nothing, Jeff.
Yeah?
When it comes to Pig, I've got nothing. Like, Pig is
fine.
giving us so much good already
He is.
that I feel like, I don't know, I don't think Pig should serve anybody.
That's
we
true.
should serve Pig.
All right, well, standard opening, and here's what we're kind of talking about. It's not the biggest deal, guys, but it's interesting to look at. There's the non-wall in from Neeb, and I kind of like your analysis, Kevin, that maybe on the smaller maps, but that being said, Odyssey is one of the smaller maps too, so maybe there's literally not a reason. He just kind of does both whenever.
I mean, there's a good chance that this time Neeb's going to open up with Stalkers, right? Maybe he liked the adapts on Abyssal, and that's why he went with the
Oh,
Wallow.
okay, so that's why he walls in.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the adapts were definitely very useful, not only for scouting early on, but later on with the Warp Prism.
Oh my God.
You know, Pick mentioned it as well before the broadcast. You get a couple probes, you pick them up. That kind of stuff is very annoying to play against, because if you don't have Phoenixes or Blink Stalkers, you just can't really pick off that Prism.
I think back to when Neeb was beating some of the really big Korean Protosses on his way to win that tournament there as well. One of the signature moves that you guys have been talking about was picking off the probes, but also the sentries at the natural as well. And the coolest thing about that is if you do it really quick, like you go Robo Warp Prism into that move, it denies their ability to send out hallucinations and scout. And it's just actually such a big deal in PvP. I don't know if he'll do that here, but it's a cool thing that he did as well.
Absolutely. We're going to keep a close eye on those gateways as the game has been going on already. Again, it was a very short pause this time. I think Neeb was just maybe a little bit uncomfortable with his earbuds. Maybe put the one into the wrong ear. You know? Happens sometimes. You're like, oh, they just don't feel that well today. And then you take a look at it. It's like, I had the left one in my right ear.
Dude.
How could I make that mistake?
That to me doesn't bother me as much in StarCraft, but well, I can't actually do it. Anyways, there's been times where I've played other games and I'm hearing in reverse, and that does really mess you up, actually. But it's gonna. Well, go ahead.
I had an 11-hour flight once where I used one of those very uncomfortable headsets,
Ooh.
and I was like, I know they're uncomfortable, but this time they're really hurting. And then after 9 hours, I actually was starting to lose some of my skin, and I was like, this is just not normal. Like, how can they give things out this bad? Turns out I had it the wrong way around for the first 7 hours of my flight, and my ears were just totally red. This is killing myself.
Doing us proud, Rotterdam. Doing us proud. Well, in Game 3 here, both the Protoss players are going to find themselves in pretty equal footing. If you look at that production tab, it is comically similar. Stalkers, a couple of sentries coming out. They both are expanding. This is the norm, which is nice. A lot of times in best of fives, you will see some pretty cheesy stuff, which we definitely have. We saw the proxy DT, that kind of a thing. But, you know, even like 4 gates Rotterdam or something even earlier than that doesn't seem to be a feature here in this series so far.
Nope, nothing too crazy other than that cheeky dark shrine like you mentioned. One difference there is though is that you can see Probe is taking a little bit of a risk with that quicker Twilight. He is going to follow it up with the Robo, while Neeb is playing as safe as one could possibly play, and that is the Robo. This Probe is going to try to identify if there is a Nexus, going to spot the sentries as well. I don't think he saw the Nexus, but 2 Stalkers and 2 sentries and that pylon pretty much give it away because there is no one base build that includes 2 sentries.
Right. Yeah, you can kind of infer it, especially at this level. These guys see, they don't even have to see buildings like you were saying. They can just kind of see stuff and be like, all right, I don't know what's behind that. But Coca, the fantastic mime observer, did show us that it was not seen.
Forge before Twilight?
Yeah, why not?
Maybe we're going to have one of these Immortal Warp Prism pushes of Neeb without a Twilight. Maybe Neeb is going to be a little more aggressive this game.
I bet he adds it. I think he's just going for a little bit faster upgrade.
All right,
we'll see.
Possible. It's possible.
Faster blink, though, for Probe by a lot.
Yeah, Neeb's going to have to be careful if he keeps these Stalkers out on the map for too long.
I wonder what adjustment he might be making because the 2 games prior have both shown non-disruptor play from Neeb. So does he think to himself, maybe I just do a big Blink Stalker push.
This is kind of nice. Very annoying. Gotta be careful though. Force fields could land, and then these Stalkers could be very trapped. The Neeb is actually, I mean, the Hallucinated Phoenix is gonna scout the main base of Neeb, and Probe's probably gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
You've already got +1 on the way?
Yeah, there's the Twilight Council.
Like, that's a super early upgrade. Now I wonder what Probe is gonna do in return.
I think Probe has a plan. I'm gonna go ahead and do the bold thing. Well, I mean, there's the Forge that's starting to kind of chip away at my analysis, but I still think he's just gonna maybe skip Disruptor play himself and go like mass gateway timing. But that being said, it's becoming less likely with that Forge going down.
Yeah.
We'll see.
There are a couple of very strong pushes in this day and age as well in PvP, which just include 1 or 2 Immortals, a couple of Sentries, and then a Warp Prism as well. You don't go up to 3 bases, you just add a couple of extra gateways and stuff like that. You know, if your army is out of position once as a defending player, a couple force fields land, and you're gone. It's just like that. If you lose 1 or 2 of Immortals and your opponent still has his Immortals alive, there is charge though, Jeff.
Yeah.
So there's a very good chance that you're on to something, because we didn't see that fast of a charge in the previous games out of Probe.
And he's really looking to deny scouting. That one right there might trigger the gateway explosion, as our top tier commentator and career Tasteless. Nope. Third Nexus.
I would always go for Todd though, like l'explosion de gate.
L'explosion de gate. Yes.
Yes, s'il vous plaît.
Although I'll tell you what, Todd yesterday was not able to say debut correctly, which is a French word. So I'm kind of beginning to wonder.
Maybe he's not that French after all.
He might not be. He did Tower Rush in Warcraft 3. Wow. Okay, so and it does not get scouted yet. But here, like, look. One of the things we always talk about in mirror matchups, they both have access to the same tools. If one guy's just mining a lot more off that gold base, it's a big deal. It is going to get scouted by Probe, though, and that's great. A lot of times that base can go quite a distance without being seen.
Now, I also wonder if Neeb is picking up on the fact that charge is being researched, as we do have those extra gateways being wiped in now at home.
Okay.
And there is a good chance that if Neeb doesn't pick up on that he doesn't have the right army composition to deal with an overwhelming amount of Zealots. He's going to be able to get the cancel for sure.
Yeah.
But will he get out of there? Yeah, I mean, Blink is not even done yet for Neeb.
Almost, though.
Does he have high ground vision? He's going to be cornered here. No, okay, I guess not.
It's going to be done mid-fight-ish. No.
That's a lot of gateways.
Cancel is a big deal. And to play against this, Kevin, one of the dangers of that base would be facing like a charge lot heavy style where you do have to fight kind of out in the open and you're not able to defend up and down a ramp.
And I think it's really important for Neeb that he picks up on it, because if he knows that he's going to go up against a lot of Zealots, he could get resonating glaives. Glaives with, you know, just like a whole bunch of adapters with the glaive upgrade. It's fantastic against Zealots.
Or Disruptors.
Instead, Neeb is getting his own Zealots, but that's going to be a lot later. Charge is going to be incredibly late for Neeb. I kind of like where this game is going for Probe. Even if he's down 20 army supply right now, just wait. He's going to have a much faster third base, and all those gateways just finished up. Neeb is going to scout this now, but
it's a gold. It's a gold. I feel like the pressure's on Probe.
Yeah, but he's gonna apply that pressure soon.
Oh, well,
don't you worry.
Okay. Oh no. It's also a big deal about Immortal count. Both players seem fairly equal in that. And you'll notice a commitment from both of them to keep making Immortals. That's actually a huge deal. Even against Zealots, they're the guys with the decent range behind the Sentries, behind the Zealots, packing a wall up the whole time, even if they're not shooting other Stalkers.
Neeb being active with his Stalkers right now, he's obviously going to try to buy a little bit of time. Does Probe have a warp? Probe is warping in a 4th Nexus at the moment at the gold. Does he have a Prism?
Nope.
Maybe he's just not going to be aggressive. He's not even... I kind of really thought with all the gateways finishing up that was his moment to go, where he was going to have his probes saturated over 3 bases a lot faster than Neeb. But it seems like Neeb is just going to have his own time to... maybe he didn't want to fight with an upgrade disadvantage, I guess, because Neeb had the faster forge. I don't know.
All right. Well, let's see where this goes. Even some cannons being warped in because of the threat of that warp prism. You just have to do that at this stage in a PvP. Supplies equalizing, harvester count, very similar, army similar, composition similar. Upgrade advantage slightly here for Neeb.
And gateway count is going to be similar soon as well, as Neeb getting 5 additional gateways. He's going to wipe in multiple Archons. So maybe in the end, this will just all come down to like that very first big fight that we are going to see, where there is a good chance that Neeb will have +3 and Probe is only going to have to work with +2. These Stalkers are going to do some damage, but Neeb will not get a cancel on the gold.
Nope. There's a couple of Probe kills there. But again, scouting, that's important. So he sees that a 4th base is the plan from Probe. Of course, it's at the gold, but just seeing that a 4th base is... Because there's 3 base timings. There's not really 4 base timings. It's just that you kind of fight at 4 bases because you basically max out shortly thereafter.
I'm very curious if either player is going to add another Robo soon, if we're going to see a Robo Bay, if we're going to see Disruptors, or even crazier perhaps, we're going to see a couple of Colossus. If both players are this Zealot heavy, I wouldn't even mind it. As a big Zealot run by on the left bottom side of the map, this is a very big moment for the Australian Protoss Probe. Can he do the damage that he's looking for? Neeb is actually going to turn around.
Yeah, he's just going to turn back. There's a little bit of harass going on at the natural as well, so he will be able to clean up both of these fairly easily. And I think what this does, by the way, it kind of alerts him to the fact that he's going to need cannons or something because there is a Warp Prism or a Pylon, something. The source of this is from somewhere nearby.
Yep, and since Pro pulled that army of Neeb back, he's going to warp in his own Robo Bane now. He doesn't have a second robotics facility yet.
What's the Archon count for our red Protoss here?
Probably a little lower. It's 4 against 8.
It's higher.
Yeah, Neeb is getting a couple of extra Archons at the moment. He's making a few fake Colossus. 8 Archons is indeed a lot. I didn't think it was going to be that hard. And the Immortal count is in favor of Probe as well.
I love this drop from Neeb, though, by the way. This is a Pylon hunting machine. Huge warp in on both sides, but the Immortals behind this, they are advantaged here as well. And Neeb's applying the pressure. An Immortal comes out. It's going to go ahead and chip away at that. And now getting some damage in on the low ground. That's nice. Neeb all over the place. He's going to look for the fight, though, is Probe. He's coming in with a bit of a surround.
I don't think Probe should fight this army, no. Wouldn't it be better for him to just focus on the defense? Yes, you do have a lot of Archons, Probe,
no.
but that is a terrifying army of Neeb. Neeb did end up losing one of the Immortals and lost most of the Zealots. As Probe, his extra gateways are about to finish up. Probe should just buy time right now for his own +3, I'd say.
Yeah. He's got both the Immortals there, actually, it looks like. The other tough thing about this is, like, yeah, that Stalker's chasing this down. The second Neeb realizes a single Stalker is chasing 2 Immortals, turns around and destroys it. So that's going to be a nuisance. It's going to be a thorn in the side of Probe. Big Zealot warping on the left side. Did Neeb kind of wisen up at that gold base? Yep, I would call that a wisening up.
Yep, these Archons are going to have a good time against
that timing
these Zealots.
Again, by the way, Rotterdam.
Yeah. I mean, the Zealot count was in favor of Probe, but these Archons have way too much HP. There is no way that Probe is going to be able to get anything done here. And suddenly, Neeb is 40 supply ahead Probe. You probably shouldn't max out. If you're getting your own Disruptors, if you're getting a second robotics facility, this is not the moment for you to move out. This is when you want to fall back, especially if you're only working with 155 or 160 supply.
The kind of scary thing about that is he just basically trumpeted to Neeb, like, this is my army. And Neeb looks at that and says, oh, I can take that. So that's exactly what's going to happen. These Stalkers moving to the right side, at the gold base is going to be annoying over here. And that's going to trigger Probe to move his whole army over there. Another Zealot run by over to the left, but Neeb is circling around the middle with a game-ending army. Disruptors are coming out, but they're just now coming out.
Yep, there's one Disruptor in the mix here. Could get a juicy hit, maybe in the middle of the pack.
The split, though, so good. It does strike one Archon, but of course that's not the Pater he's looking for. High ground taken by Neeb. Good luck getting up that ramp. And if there is going to be that Zealot run by over there, but probably easily taken care of. And the major fight is going to happen over here near the natural. Neeb is going for it. Also taking the high ground here, but Disruptor's going for some big shots.
This is a very awkward fight right now for Probe, as a lot of his Archons are stuck behind those Immortals. He does have overcharge. He can maybe get a little bit of a sandwich going, but I like the position of Neeb so far. Where are those Disruptors? Can we get any hits off in his army? The Probes are falling. Those Zealots have taken care of all the cannons and killed 15 workers during all of this. Probe is making this a very competitive series. Disruptors.
Disruptor shots on the Immortals. They get 2 of them and weaken 2 others, but they're still behind the line, packing so much punch here. But I believe Neeb doesn't have a great reinforcement point.
Exactly.
He's going to have to back up here. He's still losing a little bit in the back. He does plug that hole.
Wow, no Prism, and it seems like Probe has stabilized and is actually taking the lead now in this game, if you ask me. Look at the amount of gas. He can get Archons for days. Probe could get 5-6 extra Archons if he wants to, and he's also getting Disruptors. And Neeb, after losing 15 Probes, doesn't have the economy to just transition into either his own Disruptors or into Phoenixes.
Yeah.
I like where this is going for the Australian Protoss.
Well, he's making Phoenix, though, so it looks like he's going to try and squeeze that bank a little bit there and get those out there. The danger, of course, is that with a number of Archons, it's like one bad move with your Phoenix, you can lose them. This base does get spotted, and this is a base up for Neeb. It's only just now being taken for Probe in the top right-hand side, so a perilous game. Slightly in favor of Probe, but Neeb has the equipment to make the comeback again.
Absolutely. I mean, the Archon count currently 9 for Probe. There are 9 Archons on the map. He's going to be able to wipe in a few more Zealots as well, and I feel this is that moment to move forward. He's going to spot these Phoenixes.
Careful. Pulls back.
Careful, man.
Disruptor count not super high. Those are treacherous waters to fly over, and there is that feedback.
That's nice as well.
Again, a little bit overzealous with the disruptor shots, but he can do that if he's going to kite backwards and some Zeld harass here.
Loving this little run by as well. It's going to force a defensive warp in from Neeb, which is going to allow Probe to get some time to make sure those disruptors reset, and he's going to be able to fire one more time. I do like the shield upgrades that we have coming out of Neeb. That is one big advantage. When you're both this heavy on the Archons, you want to get the shield upgrades.
Yeah.
As obviously, Archons are pretty much all shield and no real HP.
Yep. That and Neeb already has +3 attacks, so going to armor at the stage is a little bit silly. Kind of shield helps for Stargate play later as well. There's all kinds of answers for that, but Probe is the one with the really scary army at this point in time. If he can land those disruptor shots on the Immortals, which are going to be kind of the main firing base of Neeb and Probe, to be fair.
Fun little skirmish here on the north side of the map, but obviously what we have to focus on is this massive army.
He wants to fight.
Yeah, I mean, can you blame him? Look at these Immortals. They're protected by the special service of Archons over here.
Yeah.
They're incredibly safe, and with the Disruptors behind as well, if Probe can somehow make sure that he doesn't take too much damage against this counter, I think he can win the big fight in the middle of the map easily.
Well, it looks like Probe is going to make his way back up to this top right-hand side. He doesn't need to back it up and kind of realizes that. He's just moving around. Mid-map control. Phoenixes are... Whoa! What is this portion of the army doing out here? 4 Immortals die essentially for free. A little bit of a miscontrol for Neeb. Down 20 some odd supply. He's going to fan out to fight, but he's lost so much.
And I don't think the Phoenixes are going to really do all that much against this insane count of Archons from Probe. A couple of Immortals in the mix as well. We're seeing almost like Roach-like micro here. He's shooting and moving forward. Neeb is actually getting a decent fight so far.
It can't last.
Disruptors, Jeff.
It can't last. He picks up the Immortals to delay the inevitable, but there it is. Neeb is down 50 some odd supply. Probe is going to murder through this, and Neeb is facing elimination in this next map. Probe is anxious because he knows it. Blood is in the water, Rotterdam.
What a run so far for this young man from Australia. Not only making it through the round of 32 in a very tough group once again, but now he's up against the man that hasn't lost yet when it comes to playoffs this year in the WCS format. He won in Austin, he won in Jönköping as well, and a lot of people were looking at Neeb that he may as well just go for the three-peat. Obviously, he's not eliminated yet, but I don't think we've ever seen Neeb in this much trouble in the playoffs.
I don't know. He's had some close series against Special, but I'm trying to remember even then. I don't know that he was down 1-2 or anything like that. He has played elimination. He went to Game 5 against Special just at Jönköping, I believe. But this is nice. Probe really playing really well there. It was looking bad. Neeb way ahead, but then just as quick as he was ahead, he was behind again. And I think it's Probe who did not relinquish the lead. I thought he did a really good job of making choices about when to harass and do some run-bys, when to dedicate his army. He kind of always had mid-map control. And I just have to say, which is really weird to me, the army composition of Probe has continuously been better than that of Neeb. This like Phoenix thing, it's just not panning out.
Phoenixes, I think, are great if the army supplies are a little bit smaller. I feel like anything up to like 145, 155 supply, yes, you can lift a couple of key units, but against like a maxed out Protoss that has 9-10 Archons, it's going to be really hard for those Phoenixes to carry their weight and take out those Disruptors in battle. Because you can maybe lift them once, but all of them will die. If you send like 6-7 Phoenix above 9 Archons and a couple of Stalkers, they will die. There's like there's no return for them. And this is so uncharacteristic. Like, this is Neeb we're talking about. We're talking about perhaps the best PvP player we've seen in Legacy of the Void. One of the most consistent PvP players. And so far, it's been all Probe.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into game number 4 here on Proxima Station. And in the top right-hand side, wearing the blue trunks, needing your support is the 2-time defending champion from America. It's Neeb.
That would definitely be the upset of the day. If this man can somehow move on to the quarterfinals, just needs one more victory, it is Probe. Is he gonna go Nexus? For a second I thought he was gonna go Nexus first. I was like, that is a crazy Australian Protoss. Now we can talk about Proxima real quick. We talked about the other maps a little bit, and obviously there's, PvP can always play out in different ways. But Proxima is that one unique map where often you'll see one gate fast expand because of the in-base expands, and often you'll see just mass Phoenix play because it's just really hard to defend and transition in and out against Phoenix play on this map.
That is the second Probe making its way out.
Oh, so maybe
I agree with your point, but
one base all in. Did it get scouted?
Yeah, well,
he saw it, but did he really see it?
see it?
It's deep, Jeff. That's deep.
Now, when he shows up like this, here's the tomfoolery, guys. So being walled in like that, that's not the tricky part. This might just be. It'd be really weird if he just expands.
No, I think it's like a Robo all-in, or it is a Dark Shrine, like super fast Dark Shrine drop, because Phoenix plays so popular on this map. Sometimes they go for like Robo Dark Shrine, but it can also just be a Gateway Robo all-in. Because everybody goes for the 1 gate fast expand. If you go Phoenixes then, and the Phoenix is out of position, you drop 4 Stalkers, you warp in 4 additional Stalkers, it's like, surprise, mate, I've got 8 Stalkers in your base.
And I like that it's Probe doing this, by the way. He's got the game to give, so if we just see Neeb play super safe and cagey, which is not what's happening, there's the 1 gate expand. You still can't hold it, by the way, guys. It's not like, oh no, he's dead. It's just that's depending on if he goes tech or not after that, that can be a really rough spot. It is going to be Twilight Council, so probably fast DTs, like you said.
Yeah, I'm definitely expecting this to be fast DTs. Like Blink Stalker all in doesn't really work unless you have high ground vision. I mean, maybe it could bring the Mothership Core, but I just don't really see that work. The 1 gate Blink all-ins. This is not Legacy, it's not Wings of Liberty anymore. There we have the robotics facility as well. And now there is only one big question, and we can't give you guys the answer. Did Neeb see that probe leave? And obviously, if Neeb is super smart and he did see it leave, he doesn't follow it because he wants, you know, a probe to do this. Like if Neeb saw it, I'm expecting a defensive robo. If Neeb didn't see it, there's a good chance he's going to go for a Stargate.
Ooh, do we like this? So he's going to scout the Mothership Core, by the way.
I think Neeb probably saw the probe leave. Because that is a very fast defensive robo, and that's kind of what you need.
And it'll be fast enough.
Yep. No, and this is great for Neeb. Fantastic.
No gateway there, but oh, you know what's weird? Does he have room to build a gateway there?
Does he need a gateway? He can have a Warp Prism, no?
Yeah. Damn it.
It's okay, Jeff. Happens.
I had such a cool idea. No, you're right. I get all excited about stuff. Great scout here, though, from Neeb, and he's going to see a completely naked base, and that is going to trigger the warning bell.
Second pylon. I would definitely get a second pylon here. Imagine if, you know, your robo and your 2 gates get unpowered. Don't die to an Artosis pylon.
Don't tell me about that kind of stuff.
We've been there.
Dirty. He scouts everything. He sees no tech at all. He has to know. He has to know.
Yep. There comes that Warp Prism. The Observer is going to be chrono boosted out immediately. The only way I can see Neeb lose this game is if he somehow loses power and then, I don't know, just too many DTs. But Probe is going to expand behind this, but he's going to be pretty far behind.
I think this game just normalizes. Probe gets out some disruptors. Neeb gets Phoenixes and then dies later is probably what ends up happening, right? Yeah. Nope. Observer here. DT goes down. And Neeb's not even going to try and do anything clever. He's just like, nope, no damage for you. I'm down 1-2. I need this one more than you do.
Neeb is going to find attack. That is massive, though, Jeff. You can't afford to lose your robotics facility and your Twilight Council, and maybe even the Dark Shrine in a PvP. And obviously, it's going to be hard for Neeb to take that out with the way that Proxima is designed. We're going to see Arc on Araz in a PvP. Why not, Jeff?
That's a bit of a weird choice, mate.
I mean, you got to try something. You've got a Prism, you've got an Archon.
I'd just rather the DT, personally. The 2 DTs.
Maybe.
And then use the distance pickup. Here we go. Look at that.
Archons are quite tanky.
Yeah.
This
just occupies a lot of his attention, I think.
That is true. As long as he's built workers, it shouldn't be that. But that Nexus is so later. This is just very rough with Probe.
Yeah.
And at least Probe, with this, he's forcing the units of Neeb to stay at home, so he's not in any danger of losing the tech in the left top side.
I like that. If he loses this, I immediately hate it, though. Hate it strong.
I mean, I just want, like, if Neeb wins, I truly hope that Sue's asking about that probe, that left. Because if Neeb saw the probe and he didn't follow it on purpose because he wanted to print it and he didn't see it, that would be brilliant. Because a lot of people do play straight up Phoenix on Proxima, and then the DT drop can be very, very effective.
Yeah, if she gets a chance to sit down with Mr. Neeb here, I would love to hear just his thoughts going to Proxima Station anyways. Did he see the probe, or was he just already prepared for the idea that probe might take a... Did he see the probe, or did he see the probe? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
This is why you're the greatest, Jeff.
And here is that cheeky drop again, using that distance to pick it up.
Did you see that minor move that Neeb just did there? Like, he had obviously 2 adepts shooting at 1 probe at once, and then he like split fire, and then he picked up 1 adept because he realized he only needed 1 adept to finish up the last probe. I really love small little micro tricks like that. There's no need for overkill. There's no need to take extra damage. Picked up 1 adept, got the final hit on the other one. I love small little stuff like that.
Well, Kevin, there is that Stargate, by the way, for Neeb. So, I mean, on the one hand, it could be literally just stop this warp prism.
I mean, this is a little similar to what we had on not Sequencer, but the map that Neeb won, which was Abyssal Reef, correct? Where it's like, okay, he's going Stargate, but also he's going Stargate after a very successful early game, and that's kind of the name of the game this time.
5 gateways being added, and you know what I really don't like about it? They're added on the side where he knows there's a warp prism. He's taking a third, so this is not an all-in to me. I just don't like broadcasting that kind of production. Or maybe he's trying to freak out Neeb. I don't know, though.
I think he might, I won't say I think he might stop building probes, but before I even finish that sentence, we see 2 assimilators being warped in, so... You know, it happens to all of us, Jeff.
Kevin, he can't fit a gateway there. That was my best moment today. I love it.
No.
Jeff, there's a warp prism.
I really did think that Probe was going to be aggressive as well, because I just felt that Probe probably feels he's too far behind to play a normal game. But he's going to try. He's going to be like, all right, I'm not going to get a forge, not anytime soon.
4 DT warping is what this is, by the way.
From
this is
Neeb?
the DT drop again. The warp prism, Southern. Polka, for God's sakes.
I love this. Every time that Probe fails DT harass, Neeb is like, I'll show you how to harass with DT. Hey, there's Archon below it.
Oh, no. He spots it with the floating, the weirdest Archon in PvP history. He's like, yeah, I brought this from a PvZ.
And Archon is like, this is not how any of my previous battles went.
I've got 2 probe kills.
Normally when I take this much training in a prism, I kill Zerglings. And this time it's...
Drones, Markon, yeah, okay.
I mean, Neeb is up 14 army supply. He's been up in Warcus throughout the entirety of this game. He's going to be able to get a little bit of damage. That this is dangerous because there are multiple Blink Stalkers out. You
Guardian Shield?
I don't know.
That doesn't protect you from their swords, you silly goose.
Maybe he thought Neeb was going to go for a double Archon drop.
Shield drop.
Just kidding, guys.
That, by the way, is the luckiest warp prism ever. It actually survived 2 blinks from a half-size Stalker army.
Neeb is very smart though with the positioning of his prism, knowing that he can either go high ground or low ground, so at least he's going to force out 1 more blink. And then if you're probe, you don't want to chase too far because you don't want to get baited into a very bad blink, and then suddenly you blink in the middle of 3 Immortals. We've all been there.
3 Immortals, by the way, as you said. This is going to be a hold of a century if probe can hold this off, because...
Was that a prism?
It's just a patient right there. It's just this is going to be the pylons are not in a good spot. He has no immortals of his own. The Archons are all but useless here. He's blinking back to try and survive.
Shoot micro with the Warp Prism there, having that Warp Prism hold position, picking up a couple of the sentries, but the numbers are just...
To what end, Kevin?
Yeah, the numbers are just heavily in favor of Neeb. Neeb's army is bigger. Neeb's army looks more powerful, especially with those immortals as well.
The Archon is getting chubbed up against the wall over here. Force fields everywhere. But it's Neeb's battle to lose. He's pushing into that deadly territory, looking into the concave, so he's going to have to back up here just a little bit. Again, no photon overcharges. Mothership Core just now making its way over here. Not a lot of interesting area. There's the forward blink, and Neeb wants this to go to game number 5. He's taking a decisive victory. Probe is coming to grips with it as well. And he's going to have some DTs to try and buy him some time. I guess Neeb forgot that's a thing. He's going to go ahead and try to kill the Nexus. Oh, for God's sakes, thank you.
And he will get it. But I don't think it's going to make a big difference in the end. Probe is on 69 supply. Neeb's at 126. Another forward blink. It's going to ignore the DTs. GG. Long live the king that is Neeb.
Oh, wow.
Our champ still lives.
He lives for 1 more game at least. We're going to go to that game number 5. And what an interesting game. I think Neeb had to go into this feeling very confident, feeling like he is the absolute favorite. I think that's the belief that everyone had. Probe with nothing to lose, shocking a lot of people by playing really well, capitalizing on some both good play and bad play from Neeb, I have to say. I think Neeb handed him a little bit of an edge in a couple of those games, but also Probe carved that for himself. A very impressive series so far.
And once again, I just want to know, because this is something that we as commentators and the people at home on stream, we can't know if Neeb actually saw that probe leave or not. But if he saw it leave and he just ignored it on purpose, I think that's a brilliant move. That's like the best thing he could have ever done. He's like, you already have a probe out on the map. This is the second probe. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it. Please try to like DT rush me on one base. And if that is actually the way that it played out, it's just brilliant by Neeb. And I wouldn't put it past him because, you know, he won 2 WCS tournaments in a row. Now again, he's in the round of 16. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, that's why I like commentating with you. You wear your heart in your sleeve just like I do. I'm like, here's when I think this cool thing happened. And then like,
we're gonna ask
him and they're like, no,
idea.
I have no idea. I always go Robo. Did you watch the other games? And we're like, oh, sorry, Neeb. It's like, yeah, obviously I go Robo every game. And I followed up with Stargate.
I mean, normally 1 gate fast expand Robo on Proxima. I'm not going to say it's terrible, but it's really not the best build. Because if your opponent goes fast Phoenix, I think you're guaranteed to fall behind. If you want to play with a Robo, most of the time you probably get a Twilight before the Robo. Yeah. It doesn't matter anymore. Maybe we'll know eventually, maybe not. Let's focus on Game 5, Ascension to Ire. As we're looking at the main base of the American Protoss, sponsored by Ting, it is Neeb.
And his opponent going to game number 5 here in WCS Valencia. It is the Red Protoss Probe.
Neeb obviously going for that three-peat. Jeff, as a big sports fan, when is the last time that an American sports team made a three-peat happen?
Well, the Buffalo Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row in the early 90s.
That's the opposite of what Neeb is trying to do, I think.
It's a little bit like Sue, I suppose. Our GSL Zerg. I almost called him co-champion, but that's not right. It's like just second placer. Gonna have that standard opening, double gates. This is the norm. Gives you access to make enough units to deflect adept harass or put on your own pressure. We've seen stalkers off of this. It's kind of the Protoss gentleman's agreement that this is how you go. You don't see people trying 1 gate stuff. You don't see 1 gate Nexus. I mean, you do, but very rarely, and certainly not with so much on the line. That would be crazy talk.
Yep, absolutely, especially on Ascension to Ire as well. There's obviously no ramp going into the natural, so if you go for a 1 gate fast expand, your opponent opens up with 4 or 6 stalkers and has a gateway on your side of the map, things get very dicey immediately.
First game, no probe scout from probe. I find that very interesting. I think
he's saving.
Maybe it's game 5. He says, I feel like Neeb is doing something very formulaic. I think that we're starting to watch a lot of Neeb games. Neeb doesn't change it up that much, by the way. Not really. He changes up like how he gets there, but he does the same stuff almost every time.
It could also just be Probe trying to get every sort of small advantage he can get. This is a very greedy opening by Probe. He just has the feeling that Neeb is not going to go too crazy. Neeb is not going to 3-gate, rush him over here, on game 5. Why would Neeb do that? Neeb is a very macro-oriented opening. That is a Stargate before an expand.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a gateway. He did scout the Nexus though with the retreating probe. He might actually, no.
I mean, it could still be 3-gate wave pressure with oracles. We saw Neeb do this in the past as well. He had that famous game on that small ice map that was very Frozen Temple against Patience, I think it was at the global finals last year.
All right. Well, Probe's gonna scout around to that mothership core, making sure that he's not getting gateway pressured or anything like that. But that early Stargate is changing the pace. I was talking about how he does the same thing every game, and then of course on cue, I'm 100% incorrect.
Hey, that's kind of funny. They both opened up with 2 adepts, and then they both canceled that 2 adepts. Probe for a faster Nexus, and then started building Stalkers, and Neeb canceled it for a faster Stargate. Okay. So Neeb does open up with an Oracle. Now, does Neeb have a Probe on the side of the map of Probe? No, right? Probe is actively scouting. He's obviously a little bit worried. Very fast Twilight this time for Probe. Once again, Probe really prefers to get the Twilight before the Robo.
Yep. He's not too far off from the Robo, though. It's not like I don't think it's a huge, risky thing that he does.
Definitely not. But, it's definitely
it's interesting. Stylistic.
Yep, stylistic by him. A lot of players prefer to get the Robo before the Twilight, not Probe.
A second Oracle.
I mean, one-shot workers.
Well, the other one's going out there, so I think it's just the weird follow-up. Like, you don't expect the second Oracle, and then it shows up, and you're like, oh my god. I love Oracle play, too, especially in the hands of Neeb, because it's not just the damage to Harvesters. Oh, you know what? It took the same flight path. It took the same flight path as the hallucinated one. It doesn't end up tricking him too much, but I think that's really funny. It goes right to the natural, which is not really something you would normally do.
Yeah.
But with his hallucinated Oracle, he did just that. So I wonder if that was kind of setting up this move. That's kind of cute.
Yep. Yeah, normally you'd send him from an angle, right? Over some dead airspace, hoping the Stalkers are out of position. That's 5 workers already. Looks like nothing, but that's actually quite a bit. That's going to give Neeb a 5-worker advantage.
Yep.
Or well, 3 right now, because the next was a little bit faster for Probe, and 2 just popped. But that's very solid. And let's see what this second Oracle that's on the north side of the expand of Probe right now can achieve. Because there is a good chance that if that second Oracle gets some work done as well. Let's take a look at the expand, please, of Probe, real quick. Probe. Probe, expand. No, the expand.
That's the main base.
There is another Oracle that's sharking and is going to try to get some work done.
Ultimately, it looks like it... I think that's really savvy of Probe, by the way, because the first Oracle retreated to the left of the main, and a lot of Protoss would go out with their Stalkers at the natural or something to try and intercept it, thinking that's the only one. He remained calm, cool, and collected and was able to deflect this for no Probe loss.
That is a very fast Warp Prism. This time, Probe is probably not going to build any Immortals, Jeff.
Nope.
I think this time he's really going to go for it. It's like 7, 8... You want to open up with 2 Oracles? Fine. Let's see how strong they are defensively.
Oh, does it get scouted? It has to get scouted.
Yeah, I mean, with 2 Oracles, right? Like, it's very hard for something not to get scouted when your opponent has 2 Oracles.
Well, this is... I mean, he sees the Warp Prism. He sees the gateways. But did he see it, Kevin?
No, this time he absolutely did. All you need is Pylons and Immortals from this point on if you're Neeb. He already has 1 Immortal out. He's getting the second Immortal. Neeb is also getting Charge, as Koka is showing us. Charge before Blink, which...
That's great. It upgrades faster, and it's going to favor the fact that he just needs to protect his Immortals, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the only danger that you sometimes have that the Immortals can get a tiny bit exposed, because obviously there's less micro potential in the Stalkers or in the Zealots than there is in the Stalkers, but... I mean, I think you're right. That is a good blink, though. That Oracle is going to get picked off. That means only 1 Oracle survives. Could drop a defensive stasis, but I don't know for Probe. Like, do you still go with this after it's been scouted?
Oh, I like that positioning, kind of. Yeah. Well, he just figures it's now or never. He's just going to go for it.
Does he have sentries in the Warp Prism? That's correct, right?
Yeah,
Probe had 2 sentries? Yeah.
Oh, is he gonna jump up to the ramp?
Well, I mean, then that makes that for
that stasis ward.
Yeah.
Oh
Didn't
my
get
God.
scouted though. Maybe this is gonna work on this Nexus. I think he's
The
just gonna
third's dead.
try.
The third's dead. Neeb's not gonna defend it. No way.
This is one problem that you have if you open up with Zealots and Immortals, though. Force fields could get very gnarly for Neeb, because what if he force fields the Immortals away from the Zealots? This is kind of hard to engage for Neeb. I mean, he's just probably going to sacrifice...
Making Archives right now.
Yeah, that is obviously the right choice, because if he has 2 Archons, he can break those force fields. There is another stasis trap. Careful, Probe.
Careful, mate. Don't blink.
Oh, my God.
That's half the army.
Yep, and that's going to give so much time
to
Neeb.
His hand here. He was going to go for it, by the way.
Yeah. Well, now Neeb is going to be able to just get an extra Immortal out. He's going to get a couple of Archons, and that makes these force fields so much less intimidating.
A really cool move there, by the way, to do the hallucination and see. You gotta think you can still do it?
No, you got to transition, and that's what he's doing. He's getting a Nexus, he's getting charged. Well done there by Probe. Very mature decision. A lot of players could maybe choke here and be nervous, be like, well, this is my build, I'm still going to go for it. And then you just lose the game, you're out, you're eliminated. This is not a sweet spot, but at least he killed that Nexus.
You're right.
It's still sort of a playable game. He's far behind, but he's not dead.
It's a very scary position, though. That charge lot Immortal composition against mass Stalkers is quite bad. And the follow-up from Probe is to get his own charge in Immortals, but he's just late behind that. I would have liked to have seen Disruptors earlier on, because again, in this phase of the game, they can have an immediate effect. He's going to go for a wrap around here with the Stalkers. He needs to be careful.
Stasis, there's still that stasis. He's going to blink into the natural. He's going to be able to get quite a few probes here, which is obviously nice. And he's also bringing in the Stalkers from the south side towards the third base. A couple of Immortals are left behind. 3 Immortals is too much for these Stalkers to deal with.
And he's going to jump into the main, but maybe get stasis warded there.
Yep.
And you know what, Kevin? This is really, really bad. Yes, he's killing a bunch of probes, but he's losing all of his army on the back of this, and it might trigger Neeb to just be like, well, my army has not been touched. I'm adding Archons, which are gas heavy, and I'm going to go in on this.
I didn't mind it that much. You're right. Obviously, losing quite a few Stalkers is painful, but Probe is buying time, and he needed that time. He needed time for his own upgrade. He needed time for the Disruptors, which I believe
Look who's going towards Disruptors.
It's Probe, right?
No.
Oh, it's Neeb.
It is Neeb. He's like, guess what? I remembered about these in Game 5. And that's going to be tough. He's playing passive. This is the other thing about Neeb, too, is I always get, like, when I watch his games, I'm like, he's going to attack now, Kevin, and this is so good for him. And Neeb's like, no, I never attack. That's just the thing. I wait.
Yeah, obviously having faster Disruptors and being up in upgrade. This is all massive for Neeb. I'm not trying to make this sound like this game is going great for Probe. It wasn't. But it could have been a disaster if he overcommitted, if he didn't transition.
It's a good move.
Yeah, he's still alive. He's breathing.
Even how he handled the Oracles was really strong. I think he's shown that he is a very good Protoss player.
Yep.
Hopefully a lot of you guys have become fans. The Stalkers are being deflected in the lower part of the map, and what we see here is him going on these pylons, but the Mothership Core is in the vicinity. It's not going to end well. Maybe just trying to trim off some of the energy, just a little bit of light harass, buy some time.
Yep, once again, time is absolutely what Probe needs. He knows that he was behind quite far.
But it's him without the disruptors, Kevin. And he has not seen any of the disruptors of Neeb yet. And it's going to be just as bad, by the way. Fighting against
These Immortals are misrallied. There are Zealots in the mix. I think Probe is going to lose both Immortals here. I see no way of saving these Immortals.
You don't?
No. Do you?
Yeah.
How?
Watch.
Okay. You're right, Jeff.
I know a safe Immortal when I see one. It's usually my opponents, but I know a safe Immortal when I see one.
Good job there by Probe, obviously. Was misrallying them was a little bit sloppy, but good job in saving them at least. Plus a couple of Stalkers in the process. At the end of the day,
you know, Stalkers. Couple of Stalkers.
He needs every unit he can get right now. Neeb's gonna move forward. He's gonna. The sweet thing for Neeb as well is that he still has that Oracle. Don't lose it, Neeb. There are Stalkers there on the south side.
Tagged him.
Yep.
Bagged and tagged. Just gonna keep an eye on him.
And this is really bad. Not only does your opponent have Disruptors and you don't, he also has an Oracle and you don't. It's like that's pretty much a nightmare scenario in PvP.
It's a high-level PvP, though, because look at the metrics down there. Dead even supply, workers different by 1, army difference by 1. But Neeb's the guy with Disruptors. Neeb, is the guy with the Oracle, like you were saying.
Yep.
He has all the info. He has all the tech.
And he's got the upgrade advantage.
Yeah.
Also pretty big. So this is one of these games where numbers are very deceiving, and if you only look at the supply, then then you might think it's dead even. Actually, Neeb is still in the driver's seat of this game.
Yeah.
But maybe Probe can create a miracle. Maybe he can somehow turn this one around. There is a small Zealot run by, but does he have an answer against all these disruptors of Neeb?
These are Neeb disruptors as well. There is going to be that harass, a couple of defensive warpins. We're going to go to the big battle over here. Disruptive shot number 1 goes forward, nails an Archon. More disruptive shots coming in. They're going for the center mass here. Oh, the Immortals take a massive shot, and they're going to get finished off by the disruptive shot. This battle could not have gone worse. Probe showing it on his face. He knows that Neeb has a date with Destiny and is going to advance 3-2. You came close, kid. You did good, but unfortunately, in the end, it is still Neeb all damn day.
Our reigning champ will move on to the quarterfinals after being on the ropes there, being down 2-1 in this best of 5. You can see Neeb thinking a little bit about that, perhaps a very tough round of 16 match as well. But in the end, the champ stays alive. What a fun series, Jeff. This was a lot closer, a lot more fun, I think, than we both expected when we sat down here.
Yeah, look out WCS. Probe has shown some pretty good results, and this was a hell of a battle. He really put Neeb up against the ropes and really could have taken home the series. But in the end, Neeb was able to prevail and show some great play throughout to both these players. What a treat for all of us, as Neeb's going to make his way to the middle of the stage here. And hopefully Smix can have some words. This has become kind of a regular thing for the two of them.
Yeah, they've become best friends during this WCS Circuit.
They have at each other on Facebook. I believe they have plans to do a scrapbook together about their various different journeys. But for right now, let's head over to Smix and Neeb on the stage.
Thank you very much, In Control. Congratulations, Neeb. You are moving on to the round of 8 at another WCS event. And I know previously you mentioned it feels like whenever you enter the playoffs of Austin, Jönköping, the games have always been so close. This series was no different. It came down to the very last game. So did you expect that it would come down to the last wire like that?
Yeah, I think he played better than what he's shown in the past. Like, it was much harder than I thought it would be. But he played a really weird style where he just made a lot of disruptors. Like, he just tried to have more disruptors than I had Phoenix, so he would just blow up my army anyway. And I haven't played against that so much recently, so I don't know, it was pretty tough for me. And that was both games I lost.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know that in the past you've shown you're also a player that has amazing disruptor control, but you decided to go for Phoenix Tech instead. So what was that choice? What was the reason for that choice?
Just nobody on Korea goes Disruptor right now, because if you go Disruptor, then you allow your opponent to go Stargate, and then they just go Fleet Beacon and Fast Mothership, and they go into carriers when they're safe. So, like, you should never really be able to do anything if you do Disruptors. But like, I think I just played poorly. Like, that's why it worked. But
At the end of that series, the camera was panning over to you, and it looked like you were deep in thought about something. Can you tell us what you were thinking about?
I was just thinking about my tech choice in the last game. I decided to go Charge instead of Blink, and I made a Robo when I normally make a Twilight after doing Stargate, so I don't know. I was just wondering if that was the best choice, because I feel like the game should have been much easier than it was at that point. And then also I thought it was kind of funny that he wasn't preparing at all for Disruptors, even though he went Disruptors every game.
Well, now with this win, you are moving on to the quarterfinals, where you'll be playing either Special or Zanster. Now, Special is a player you've run into many times. You eliminated him at both Austin and Jönköping. So do you want to play him again and eliminate him a third time, or would you rather play the Swedish Zerg Zanster?
I think Zanster would be a little easier, because Major's he's just really good all the time. So it's always a tough match, but it'll depend on like our form tomorrow.
Well, best of luck, Neeb, and congratulations again. And maybe to no one's surprise, it is Neeb moving on to the quarterfinals.
That's right, thank you very much, Smix. Of course, as the date with Destiny is narrowly approaching here for Neeb. It almost became a date with defeat there, as Pro brought out some brilliant games pick in this series.
Yeah, who knew it? You know, they've got the lifts, but those Phoenix, they didn't go to the gym enough. They weren't taking enough juice because there was just too many disruptor shots. But at the end of the day, Neeb, he was the one, he pulled the disruptors out, managed to close that out, and what a close series for both players. Great to see Pro with such a performance here in the round of 16.
Somebody who goes to the gym plenty. Todd, looking at this PvP series. Probe definitely impressed us here with what he brought to the team.
Yeah, maybe he was inspired by the intro screen. You know, we see warp-ins inside of the city. Wait until you see these zealots on tapas, man. What they can do. No, he played really well. I like that he knew that who he was going up against and what a Titan Neeb is. And he was like, just going to throw in different builds to try and keep you on your toes and try and keep you guessing, and maybe if I get lucky and it goes really well for me, then it's going to work out super well. But the two Dark Templar builds, that didn't work out at all, and that was really sad for Pro, because if they had done so just one single time, that would have been a win here for him. So those were the games that he lost.
I mean, that final game as well with the stasis trap, catching like 10 stalkers there. He had a big army advantage. The Gateway SimCity would have worked against Neeb with the force fields coming down and splitting that army. So I feel like Probe could have got a lot more damage done.
He was a little bit hesitant, I feel, maybe because he was 2-2 and stuff. Like before that, he was probably playing like in a fearless way. But then suddenly it hits you, you're like, I'm only just one map away from, making it into the round of 8. And that's when you start playing a little bit more shy. So hopefully that's not what happened for Pro. But regardless, I feel like he definitely will have made many fans here. I was already a fan, but after this, I'm like, I want to see him crush the Southeast Asia qualifier next time. I'm going to tune in for that after these games. I want to see him against Pig. I want to see him against all the guys from the region.
Bring him to Montreal, WCS. That would be fantastic. Let's check in with the brackets and see what's gone down thus far. We have one more series left for you today here for the round of 16, as we have 7 completed. Neeb is able to take his 3-2 series there narrowly, as that Probe put up a fantastic fight. And next up, we're going to have Special going up against Zanster. Special, no stranger to the heights here of WCS in 2017.
Yeah, I mean, these players have, of course, been performing quite well. Zanster, kind of a player who had a little bit of a break, I think, from top-tier WCS competition, but Special, he has been just performing so well. And similar to a Laser, he looks so good, but rather than Cyril being his kryptonite, it's Neeb. Every time he keeps running into him. Honestly, I mean, him going up against Zanster, I think everyone's looking at Special, saying, he's the big favorite, but I'm really curious, what is Zanster going to bring out? I haven't seen a lot of his play recently, and I don't think a lot of the viewers have either.
Well, we're about to find out in just a few moments' time. Thank you very much, gents, as we are going to go to a short break now. When we are back, the final series in our round of 16 here for WCS Valencia, as Special goes against Zanster.